Hi guys, it's Nicole, and I can't believe I get to say that I made it to sketch number 20. So I'm kind of curious below, like leave me a comment on did you make it through? Even if you're behind, do you think you're going to make it through? Do you think you're going to kind of get all 20 sketches done? That kind of thing, because I'm just kind of curious as to like where everybody else is in this process. I definitely wasn't able to keep up as far as posting within the week that the sketches were shared. But with it being, we're at what, October 21st, I think she posted sketch 20 on Monday, which was the 19th. So technically I will have finished within like the time frame of the actual like live group, which was my intention. I definitely stumbled, fell straight off the side of a cliff here and there. But I am glad that I made it through. And the funny thing is, I was messaging with some friends and I, kind of let them know, like, hey, I finished. And for whatever reason, I don't have that like marathon finish feeling. Like, I don't have that feeling of like I finished like a big milestone. So I'm wondering if anybody else kind of had that like let down feeling. And I am a little sad that I'm done with it just because I already love the 6x6 like sketches and classes that Allison has put out before. But it especially kind of kept me focused on having like a deadline and having something that I mean, I didn't need to do it, but it was something that I wanted to do, and it was content that I did want to share on my channel. So it did give me something to be able to share consistently on my channel while basically the world is ending. And nobody's leaving my house. So that was kind of the fun aspect of it. So if you have the sketches, you know what number 20 looks like. For those that don't, it basically features like two kind of photo grids in the middle of the layout and then a bunch of circles going across in various sizes. I did modify, I can't see it from here. I did modify my photos. Her sketch had 4 landscape 4x3s on the left and 2 portrait 4x6s on the right, creating that rectangle in the middle. I had more photos that I wanted to use than sort of what was depicted in the sketch. So let me see if I can explain this. So if you look at her sketch and you do the math as far as the height and then the total width going across the 2 pages, I edited my photos to stay within those parameters. So they're kind of different. They're weird sizes. And then because they were photos that I took on my cell phone, a lot of them were kind of like that tall, skinny thing. So a lot of them I edited to things like 2.5 inches wide, 2 inches, 3 inches. Like there are some 4x3s in there. I basically just made it to where my photos again were the same size photo block that she depicted on her sketch. And then I don't really enjoy circles on layouts. I think that the layouts always come out nice when I do them. It's just not something that I'm like, ooh, yay, circles. Mostly because it's like, okay, great, I gotta go find a circle cutter. I gotta try to cut circles. So knowing that, I intentionally chose not to arrange them myself. I sort of anally matched them up to her sketch. Like, I didn't bust out a ruler and like measure anything, but I did eyeball them, and pretty much where she had her large circles, mine are in the same spot. So you can pretty much get a good idea of what the sketch looked like based on this. And the only thing I really did move was my journaling. She showed her journaling more as like a journaling block above the photos on the left. I chose to do strips and move them into that large circle that's going to end up being on the left. And this was another one that I just kind of sat down when I had 5 or 10 minutes. So this was one that took me like a week to get through. Clearly that included a weekend because the first couple clips you could see my my nice skunk look to my hair. I had a hair appointment, so obviously my roots are gone when my head is popping up into here. Fun fact, I've been gray since I was like 20. So at some point I'll give up and save money and save the 30-minute commute to go get my hair colored. But for now, it is what it is. And I had shared in my prep video that I wasn't using like a specific pad of paper. I just kind of went through and pulled anything that had a water feel to it and was bright colored. My photos are from the Great Wolf Lodge, like indoor water park, which this one is in, I think it's Scottsdale, Arizona, which is outside of Phoenix. And I kind of was gravitating towards matching these photos from the water park to the sketch that had circles. I'm pretty sure this was the only sketch that had circles on it. Mostly because like I had taken photos when we were in some of the ride tunnel, like tubes. So you've got circles in the photo there. The like donut inflatable raft float things that were there were circular elements. You can see the photo on the left of my husband coming out of one of the rides. The exit was a circular. So to me, it just kind of made sense. And then between the bright colors of the swimsuits and the bright yellow rafts and just the fact that everything in there is just kind of like brightly colored, it just was making sense in my mind to not necessarily go with a specific collection. There was no collection that I was going to have that was going to fit this perfectly. A lot of the like water themed ones that I have were just a little bit different. They had a lot of like anchors and like boat motifs, which now that I'm saying that, I'm wondering why do I have them, but probably for the B-sides. But again, some of these are from an 8x8 of October afternoon. Some of them are 6x6 from, like this one is Echo Park, Under the Sea, Cartabella, Beach Day. And then I had even just some scraps that were still out on my desk from previous layouts that were like Lawn Fawn and Doodlebug, like petite prints from the basics that I had kind of kept out on my desk. And again, I just kind of went through and picked ones that I was drawn to, and I kind of wanted to have not necessarily like a rainbow. Like I don't have purple on here. I don't have like that. Just kind of, again, just went with the ones that I liked. And again, I relied heavily on the sketch for sizes of the circles and placement of the circles, because to me, somebody else has already gone through and figured out where everything looks good. And then there you can see I did take a photo with my cell phone after I had kind of arranged everything, and this was how I was keeping track of how many more circles did I need, what size did I need, and you know, what other papers did I need to kind of pull. And then I basically just kind of started from the right side of my layout and moved to the left. I took some liquid glue and I glued down like the small circles that were on the background, the like punched out rings that I knew were going to go behind different things. I kind of just tried to start from things that are like pushed further back, so the farthest layer, and then glue everything on top. And for most of this, I'd say probably 90% of this layout, I actually just used liquid glue because it was right there, it was handy, and I'm running low on ATG refills, which I'm probably going to go ahead and order a case tonight. And honestly, it was just easier. It was just kind of nice to just pull out the glue, pretend like you're in kindergarten again, and yeah, just glue everything down. Plus, I knew that it would kind of give me a little bit of wiggle room before the glue like dried down. And then I do like to put a little bit of liquid glue behind vellum, which I had earlier in the video, I don't know if you saw, I put my photo collage onto vellum and inked the edges with some white paint. Not a lot of detail that you can see in the video, but in person, I really like it. And then for the most part, I put my stitching in the same spots that she had showed it. However, I did skip a couple areas just because I didn't think to stitch before I layered circles on top of those areas. So I just kind of stitched where I wanted to and kind of moved on. And then I busted out these skinny alphabet dies that I got from that sale that scrapbook.com did, where their in-house branded dies, like these alphabet sets, you got a full upper, a full lower. I think they were on sale for $20. So I bought this skinny font. And I actually debated about cutting multiple layers, gluing them together, and making dickers out of them. I was going to kind of just glue them flat to the page, but they're so skinny and they're super cute. I felt like I don't know, I needed more. I needed a little bit bigger of a presence, especially going over some different layers. So I cut them all out of textured black cardstock 3 times, glued them all together. Yes, they are a little bit finicky just because they are so thin, but I absolutely love the end result of these things. So to me, it's worth it. So at this point, they're not glued down. I'm just kind of making sure that they are where I like them. And then I'm going to start gluing them down with that Nuvo liquid glue, which again is my favorite. I like the fact that it doesn't come like flooding out of that bottle. I tried the scrapbook.com like mini one, and it just kind of came flying out of there, and I was like, no, this is not for me. And this sounds bad, but after I've used like half the bottle and I've left it open on my desk a couple times, it kind of gets like the perfect amount of clogged so that like when you squeeze it, you get like, it's like a detail glue tip without having to take your glue out of a bottle and shove in a tip and shove a needle in it every time you need to use it. It just kind of does it on its own. So there's my tip. If you haven't tried this glue, you have to try it. I bought it years ago when I went to that Scrapbook Generation, like the big crop that they held. Everybody there was like, oh my God, you have to buy this glue. And I was like, okay, well, they've said I have to buy it, so let me go buy it. And then I didn't use it for like a year. I just kind of forgot about it, found it, used it, love it. I'm on my second bottle. So yeah. Weird tangent on glue, but that's where we're at after 20 double page layouts and still no time to myself. So I did not film messing around with the smaller letters, but I took a very small die set and cut out letters to spell Waterpark and put that underneath the title for like my subtitle. Typed up my journaling, and I'm just trimming it into strips. I go back and forth between using this trimmer and like my regular paper trimmer. The regular paper trimmer is easier for me to see where I need to cut. This one cuts smoother, so it's kind of like a trade-off. And then I am going to put them on with those foam strips that I have mentioned before. This is another thing. If you have not tried these things, I don't know why. It's so dumb. I don't know why I love them so much, but I do. I think it's the fact that I don't have to cut down the like green backed 3M tape, which I have a ton of that, but they're just like the right height. Because sometimes I feel like the 3M is a little thick, but this, I don't know, I just love it, and it's easy. Plus I like the fact that it doesn't have the like the paper backing is matte. It's not matte, I don't know what to call it. Either way, it doesn't stick to my pants, it doesn't stick to my hair, it doesn't stick to my sleeves. Like normally when I'm using like foam tape and I'm peeling off the backing and trying to put it in the trash can, it's going everywhere but the trash can. This stuff just comes off, doesn't stick to anything, scoop it up, throw it in the trash. Jury's still out on the foam squares, because I do think that that's kind of like, everybody kind of has their personal preference, which is weird. Everybody kind of has their personal preference on glue and foam tape and trimmers and like the basics, which I find funny because when you see somebody in like a Facebook group who's new and they're asking like, hey, I'm just getting into the craft, like, what do you guys suggest? And then everybody bombards them with like 30 different options. And I'm like, I kind of wish that it was like more like small, not smaller, but more like, oh, everybody loves like these 2 trimmers, instead of it being like, oh yeah, there's 45 different trimmers and we all like them. Oh, and apparently I did not cut this part out of the video, so I apologize. We're going to watch me very fast, sped up, glue these teeny tiny ones down. These ones cut out like the whole alphabet is all like one die. So that's the only kind of pain, because I kind of prefer to have them separate, because then when you need the multiples of like the A and the R, you can just run just those two letters back. But with this one, you do have to run like the whole alphabet back through there. And they are a pain in the butt to glue together, but it's one of those things where I'm like, they're so freaking cute that I'm like, I'm gonna do it. So yeah. I don't think, the only other thing I really added was I did stamp the date, and it was basically 2 days because we were at the water park for 2 days, and some of these photos were from one day, some were from the other day. These were just kind of like highlights of being there. And I just added some enamel dots like kind of here and there. So here's all the photos of the finished layout. And let me know down below if you guys would be interested. I'm already kind of debating about going through the 20 sketches for the single page bundle. So let me know if that's something that you guys would be interested in seeing. If not, let me know where you think I should go next, seeing as how these are done. Bye!